I love Scientific American. It's my favorite publication.
I hate it to bits.
It's not in any way corrupted by far left ideology, and everything they say is true. And so when they put an article like this, the theory that men evolved to hunt and women to gather is wrong, you know that you're in for truth. Raw, unfiltered, scientific truth.
I'm already very angry.
If I was American, I would be so embarrassed that there was like, can you imagine a magazine called Scientific Irishman that had stories like this? We'd never live it down.
So they begin by just saying, well, look, the theory that men go and hunt in hunter-gatherer societies is obviously nonsense, because women have clearly superior hunting and gathering skills. In fact, nature's optimized them as such. And so this entire theory just has to be abolished at this point. Man the hunter, they say, has dominated the study of human evolution for nearly half a century. But the thing is, it's wrong. What did men do? Just out of interest.
We just sat around, didn't we? We just put our feet up.
Well, we like the lions and a lion pride. It's like, right, the women have to go out and hunt, and then we just eat the
I'm sure this article is going to be based on all of the paleoanthropological evidence, which I've spent a considerable amount of time reading.
Mounting evidence from science, Josh.
Just science generally.
Just science.
No, it says exercise science.
Yeah, it's exercise science.
What's exercise science?
Science of exercising.
So people who studied physical education are now telling me about paleoanthropology. That's fantastic.
Yes.
Those are the people I want to disentangle.
Women are physiologically better suited than men to endurance efforts, such as running marathons, and therefore women did the hunting.
If you're anything like me, witnessing the gradual decline of Western civilization can really drain your energy. But if you want to get through the day with your sanity intact and keep a sharp mind as we wade through the ashes together, a good night of restful sleep is vital. That's why you need Rest Again. Rest Again is a natural supplement that contains 11 scientifically backed ingredients designed to get you to sleep and help you to stay asleep by working with your body's natural processes and not against them. Rest Again wants to ensure you get a great night's sleep and make sure to do this by sticking to doses of ingredients that have been shown to work and have not chosen the cheap option for you. Rest Again starts by supplementing the vitamins that your body needs to produce GABA and melatonin, the sleep chemicals, naturally, including vitamin D, B6, and magnesium. Then, Rest Again adds in herbal extracts like ashwagandha and L-theanine, which have been shown in scientific studies to help people get a better quality of sleep. And to top that off, Rest Again gives you what you need to get to sleep at night, not just after your body has started producing what it needs. That means an extra dose of melatonin and GABA that tells your body it's time to sleep. Rest Again doesn't claim to be magic and can't promise you that it will work for you, but if you're not getting the results that you're satisfied with, then Rest Again guarantees to give your money back. So if you're interested in improving your sleep, then click the link below and get 25% off.
It's that simple, Josh.
Who has won the London Marathon every year since time immemorial?
Listen, you with your facts. We're going to get to those in a minute, right? But we're trying to create a BS narrative about how women are exactly the same as men in every way and always have been. And so there's lots of evidence to suggest that there's no difference. Going on a little bit more further, they actually do tell us about the difference. I'll see if I can find it. It's quite a long article, this. I've pulled out the... So as you can see, the power of estrogen would imply there's a physical difference between men and women.
Mm-hmm.
They say the muscle fibers of females differ from those of males. Females have more type 1 or slow twitch muscle fibers than men do. These fibers generate energy slowly by using fat. They are not all that powerful, but they do take a long time to become fatigued. They are the endurance muscle fibers. Males, in contrast, typically have more type 2, which is fast twitch muscle fibers, which use carbohydrates to provide quick energy and provide a great deal of power but tire rapidly. It's literally the next paragraph. The inequity between male and female athletes is a result not of inherent biological differences between sexes, but of how biases are in how they are treated in sports.
What?
Just what is wrong with you people? You literally have the biological and anatomy out to show people there are physical differences between men and women, and they're like, yeah, but the differences are not the result of inherent biological differences.
This is like however many words devoted to getting men into female spaces. That's what it is.
It's
Scientific American has been completely captured.
That's precisely what it is. Because they want to establish in your mind, obviously not in reality, that there is just no physical difference between men and women.
Yeah.
That's what they're trying to achieve here. And so if they can arrive at the point where there's no difference between men and women, why women run marathons better than men, apparently, then women can have been in every male space, and therefore every man can be in every female space. Why wouldn't they?
I like, it's so infuriating. I just recently I went to the Battle of Ideas,
Oh yeah, how was that?
That was good, yeah. And I met this woman whose daughter was a silver medalist in I think it was jiu-jitsu.
Why was she a silver medalist?
I don't know.
Oh, it wasn't that. I thought you were going to say it was because man got the gold or something.
No, she didn't get beaten by a man, but she has now left the sport.
Right.
Because she says it's just, she said it was impossible to deal with the men involved,
Yeah.
Another young girl has quit her football team, someone I met.
Yeah.
And it's because of boys who are just kind of who've realized that this is a fast track to getting a lot of goals in a game and looking like a kind of star,
Yep.
So it's outrageous. I just don't understand why it's happening. I sometimes feel like I've fallen through some portal.
That's because we literally have fallen through some portal. Bizarro world. So we've got the statistics. If we need to, if they were helpful in any way, shape, or form, you can look it up. That for the 10 fastest men ever, men were faster than women in 50-mile, 100-mile, and 1,000-mile events. Was that really? I'm going to chase my dinner for 1,000 miles, am I?
Mm.
Obviously, and the 3,100-mile event. Imagine running for 3,100 miles.
But it's like all this effort they're putting into trying to disprove all this stuff is just extraordinary.
Yeah. I mean, men, they say, to summarize, the fastest men were 17 to 20% faster than the fastest women for all distances. It's like, okay, that's fine. That's not a dunk on women. That's not saying women suck because they can't run 3,000 miles quite as fast as a man could run 3,000. Like, that's just the fact of human biological difference between the sex, right?
Well,
and
men and women have complementary niches, don't they?
And the thing is, as you can see in here, they say, look, the difference in the time that each one took narrows as the distance they run becomes longer, right? So men, the gap is a lot faster for men in short distances because of all the type 2 muscle fibers, whereas over long distance, it is narrow. But the thing is, the men are still faster than the women. It's okay.
That's interesting. I saw this young girl the other day carrying her brother, who was like a toddler, quite a heavy looking toddler. And she had her kind of, she had her kind of propped on her hip, and I was obviously walking for ages with this kid, So maybe the endurance comes from having to lift children up a lot and carry them.
A really good hypothesis.
No, I think you're absolutely right on this, right? Because my wife can carry my kids longer than I can. And I mean it's because the hips, right? I can't just put them on my hips. So I've got to hold them up properly.
Yeah, that's another
which is tiring, right? But she can actually leverage them on her. And I always see her carrying around thinking, aren't you tired?
But it's like those kinds of differences are seen as somehow bad,
morally matter. They don't matter
like
morally.
You're locking a woman into motherhood, and well, no, you can do whatever you want, But this is how we've evolved.
So let's go back to this because there's another part in this. Like I said, it's a really long thing. I'm going to try and find it, where they say, but I want you to pay attention to this framing, right? The modern psychological evidence, along with historical examples, exposes deep flaws in the idea that physical inferiority prevented females from partaking in hunting during our evolutionary past. Why would you use the term physical inferiority?
Yes, interesting.
That's a prejudicial term.
Yes.
That has moral connotations.
It's not very scientific either. We were very strongly advised against using emotive language like that in our scientific writing.
Right?
Yeah.
Why would you do this? And so they say the evidence from prehistory further undermines this notion. Males living in the Upper Paleolithic, 45,000 to 10,000 years ago, when early modern humans entered Europe, do show higher rates of sets of injuries to the right elbow region known as thrower's elbow, which could mean they were more likely than women and females to throw spears. Right. What? Right. So the male skeletons have got injuries on their elbows because they're throwing spears. The women don't. But, quote, it does not mean women were not hunting, because this period is also when people invented the bow and arrow. Why didn't the men use the bow and arrow, Scientific American? The women invented bows and arrows. Go, listen, you stupid men, we could use it. And they're like, no, man, you spear. What are you doing?
Also, famously, didn't Amazons cut off their breasts to fire arrows?
I think there might have been a tribe
Or
that
was
did
that a
that
myth?
somewhere.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think it might have been a myth.
Right.
I'd have to look it up.
Yeah.
But they say the idea that in the past men were hunters and women were not is not absolutely unsupported by the limited evidence that we have. Right, it's not absolutely unsupported. Right, that's
very
Scientific
different, yeah.
American.
that's very very concrete. Because basically, and there will be examples in the past. There was an example in Peru where they found a female skeleton who had clearly been hunting. It's like, yeah, but that's not what they normally did, because that's through people have to cope with suboptimal conditions.
It's also worth mentioning as well, part of the reason that we know human beings had a pretty stark division of labor, that men tended to do the hunting and women did the gathering, is that it wasn't true of all hominins. And so you have species like Neanderthals, for example, that you can see from their skeletons as well as their injuries that you find in the paleoanthropological record, that it's more common to have hunting-related injuries in Neanderthal women than it is for Homo sapien women. Because they were less sexually dimorphic,
That's
it indicates that there's more similarity between them than there are with human beings. And one of the hypothesized reasons why Homo sapiens succeeded and Neanderthals died out
It's because we didn't send our women off to hunt.
Yeah, well, if you want to reproduce effectively, putting women out of danger and allowing them to be safe and risking just the men who, from a biological point of view, are more disposable, makes sense.
I would ask you to imagine if this was called Scientific Irishman, because
Scientific Englishman, I'd be deeply embarrassed.
Irish people wouldn't put up with something this stupid being put out under their own name. It's so unbelievably thick. But the interesting thing about Scientific American is it's very kind of authority, kind of allows it to degenerate in this way, Like even the font, it just looks Scientific American. It just looks impressive. Yeah. It's obviously got a great history behind it, but they've made themselves a complete laughingstock.
The quality. Oh, sorry, Carl.
No, you go ahead.
The quality of lots of scientific publications has steeply declined. I covered.
The Lancet.
Yes, I covered.
The Lancet. Yes, jeez.
I covered the decline in the journal Nature, which is the sort of premier scientific journal. I once had a professor say that most academics would kill their own grandmother to get a publication in Nature. And they were talking about how it was right for them to talk about how Donald Trump is a bad president as a journal. They were weighing into politics.
Yeah. Anyway,
sorry.
Let me carry on. So they finish this by just saying this. Female physiology is optimized for exactly the kind of endurance activities involved in procuring game animals for food. At the end of a hunt, there is something that happens. You have to physically subdue the giant beast that you're trying to eat. So, okay, you've chased it for 1,000 miles, fair enough. Why would the people with the lower amount of upper body strength be the ones tasked with subduing a giant wild animal? Just a question.
Can you flip to the end as well? There's something there that... That is not so clear what they're up to. The last paragraph. Now, when you think of cave people, we hope you will imagine a mixed sex group of hunters.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
That's what they're up to.
Yeah, that's precisely it. None of this is descriptive. This is normative. We want you to be in a certain way. And the weird thing is, I just don't know why they didn't explain it to the actual hunter-gatherers that are still living.
Yes.
Because there are people in the world who, and this is a group of people called the Hasda people, right? There are only 1,300 of them left, but they have, in Tanzania, been there is it Tanzania?
Got you back.
Sorry, yeah, okay, fair enough. Foreign words, I'm not on. But they've been there for 100,000 years living this same lifestyle. And it's the men who go out hunting. The women stay home and gather roots and berries while the men favor handmade bows and arrows. And really, I just want one of the experts to come down and say, no. Look at the women. Look how they evolved. Obviously, they're the hunters. You're just a bunch of bigots, cavemen, misogynists. Get out and go and hunt. And there are people who have been to this tribe and gone on hunts with them and stuff like this. And obviously, it's the men. They go out, they hunt some big beast, and then they carry it home. It's like not very controversial for me to say that the experts are liars, I think, in this regard.
The funny thing is, when I studied social psychology and group dynamics and things like that at university, we were talking about the sociologists in sort of the 20th century that went out to all these tribes. And it was notable that there was only sort of one matriarchal hunting society. And it was just like, oh, isn't that weird? Isn't that a strange sort of quirk? Rather than, oh, yes, this is true of everything.
Yeah.
If you appreciated that episode from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content that's on the site, such as the Contemplation series, this episode on the psychology of horror. If you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow on Twitter at lotuseaters_com on Twitter. Thank you and goodbye.